Kemi Badenoch attended an interview with two BBC interrogators. And I mean interrogators. It was shocking. I mean, it was truly disturbing. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, Minds and BitChute if you're not in the UK, or if you are and have a VPN. All right, the two BBC interviewers were Naga Munchetti and Charlie State, and they were grilling Kemi Badenoch, and I mean really grilling, not questioning. I half expected one of them to burst out, "We have ways of making you talk." And it was all about the TV show Adolescence. It turns out they asked her if she'd seen it, and they were flabbergasted when Badenoch said she had not seen it. They kept saying, "But everyone's seen it and everyone's talking about it." And it was obvious they couldn't get their heads around the fact that Badenoch would, by choice, misperforming this crucial religious duty of watching the show. They seemed genuinely not to understand Badenoch when she responded that as a politician who talks to people all the time and gets stories and complaints from constituents, and that because of her personal experience and research, she knows a lot more about real life and real problems and doesn't need to watch a work of fiction to alert her to the problems of knife crime and delinquency among the young. And as much as she explained, so they couldn't understand a word she was saying. The two of them have educated accents, and yet they were making the sort of comments I might have expected from a couple of teenagers, and not very bright ones either. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Well, have I whetted your appetite enough? OK, I'm going to play the interview.
Have you watched Adolescence yet?
No, I haven't. I probably won't. It's a film on Netflix, and most of my time right now is spent visiting the country.
It's a four-part series on Netflix, and everyone is talking about it. It is prompting conversations about toxic masculinity, smartphone use, young men feeling that they're being ignored, the idea of misogyny being increased in school. Why would you not want to know what people are talking about?
Well, I think that those are all important issues, and those were issues that I've been talking about for a long time. But in the same way that I don't need to watch Casualty to know what's going on in the NHS, I don't need to watch a specific Netflix drama to understand what's going on. It's a fictional series. It is not a documentary. What I've been talking about recently, for instance, is banning smartphones in schools. I've been going to schools all around the country. I was in Evesham just yesterday, talking to head teachers, talking to the students, and they talk about the problems that phones are causing.
The difference this documentary has made compared to, say, a politician, any politician, leader of a party, the Prime Minister, going around talking in schools, is this has made much more of an impact than any politician has in terms of what people are talking about right now. So it's really confusing that you don't want to know why, how this has made an impact, how parents are now saying we need to know more about smartphone use.
I can read what people are saying about it. I look at research. This is something that I've been looking at for a long time.
You wouldn't want to know straight from the horse's mouth.
One of the things that I'm more bothered by is the fact that just yesterday we had Labour telling us that they're not going to be investigating the rape gang scandal, something which had happened all across the country. That's real. That's happening right now. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a fictional documentary.
Do you think
we had thousands of, if I may just finish, we had thousands of victims. Female victims, those are girls, young women, and some boys too. I met the mother of a boy who killed himself after being a victim. I want to talk about that because that is real. And yes, I'm glad that the Netflix drama is something that people are talking about, but it is not the only thing. There are many other things that are going on. And my job as opposition leader is to hold the government to account, get them to hold a full national inquiry on what is one of the biggest scandals in our country.
And do you stand by the thing you just said a moment ago, that you're comparing Adolescence with Casualty? these TV programs. Did you really mean to say that?
I'm saying very clearly that my job is not to watch lots of TV. My job is to get out there and make sure that I'm talking about the issues that are happening in the country right now. And yes, of course, we should be talking about misogyny. The rape gang scandal is one of the most misogynistic incidents that has happened in our country. So me talking about that, me asking for a national inquiry is doing my job. But telling me that I should go home and watch Netflix is you trying to tell me how to do my job. But I don't think that's how to do my job. I can read about it.
At what point did I tell you?
Well, you've just said that you were surprised that I haven't watched it. We don't have to watch a particular show to know what is going on in the country. I have met parents of children who've had those experiences. I have met children who've been victims. I think that that is enough for me to go out there, make policy, look at the research.
Yeah, adolescence
but I don't think the right thing is to be deciding who has watched which show and working out whether that means that you are informed. There are many ways for us to be informed.
Adolescence has made more of an impact than any politician has on parents and when it comes to the issue of smartphones and misogyny, and yet you are saying, despite that, you don't need to know about it.
Well, no, I haven't said that I don't need to know about the issue.
You don't need to watch it.
I don't need to watch a specific show to know what is going on in this country. It's a fictional show. Let's talk about what's real. I'm going out there every day. I have constituents coming to me telling me what they're worried about. I had a colleague, an MP, who was murdered due to Islamic terrorism. You look at what's happened in Southport, you look at what's happening in Rotherham, in Oldham, there are real issues. I'm getting out there talking about it. Asking me to sit down and watch a television drama that lots of other people have seen, have written about, have told me about. I know what it's about. I think it is important, but it was also, it's also fiction. Let's talk about what's happening to real people. You had a mother of a woman who was killed. Let's talk about her. That's real life. That's real life.
What happens to those guys when they go through the doorway of Broadcasting House or wherever they make these shows? Does some sort of electric cat come down and fry their brains before they go into the studio? Badenoch indeed admitted she hadn't seen the show, saying she was too busy to watch TV shows, especially since local elections are coming up, you know. Munchetti said that everyone's talking about it, meaning everyone in her bubble. Then she started buzzing the words like toxic masculinity and smartphones, as if someone like Badenoch, who works in the political environment, doesn't know about aggressive men and smartphones. Then, when Badenoch said she didn't have to watch a hospital soap called Casualty to know about the NHS, Charlie State was astonished that she likened Casualty to Adolescence. Now, it's true that Adolescence, being a bigger budget drama, was more polished, and since it was concentrating on a single issue, for sure, the writing was better and more compact from what I've seen of it. Whereas Casualty is a soap. But I think Badenoch was absolutely right in her analogy. She was also right to say that her job is to deal with real problems, like the rape gang inquiries, which the Labour Party have just ditched. And she didn't need fiction to know about the facts and figures of knife crime. And of course, although she didn't say so, the real life figures about knife crime are absolutely nothing like the fictional story being told, however well, in a TV miniseries. It astonished me how those presenters obviously preferred fiction to, well, the gritty reality Badenoch was talking about. They are supposed to be journalists, and the terrifying thing is they don't appear to understand the difference between reality and fiction, and they got very aggressive when their perception was challenged. And they started fixating on Badenoch watching the show instead of the issues it might raise or the issues that it's faking. As we know, knife crime is far more often tied to black or Asian teams, and it seems probably slightly older than the 13-year-old white kid in the TV narrative as well. As I said, Munchetti and State were grilling her like prosecutors, prosecutors trying to find a hole in her story. They weren't questioning her. They were demanding that she admit her moral failing. Did you see how State was saying, do you admit that you liken casualty to adolescence or something like that? They didn't for 1 second credit her with understanding the reality. All they were interested in was the lapse of not watching a scripted story, and actually one that doesn't reflect the real situation in any case. Frankly, I can't make sense out of what they thought they were doing. I really can't. Were they upset by her disregard for the media, perhaps? Were they insulted that she regarded the media as interesting but irrelevant? Were they taking it personally? That she was sticking to her own perceptions rather than soaking herself in theirs. I remember some time ago an American TV presenter, and I couldn't find it, but she was saying something about people interpreting the news. And then she said, they shouldn't be doing that for themselves. That's our job, she said. And this interview looked a lot like that. The very frightening thing was, as the internet closes in around us, what the words of a political scientist, Hannah Arendt, were echoing round my thoughts. She spent some of her early life dodging the Nazis, and she did know something about the takeover of thought by the state and propaganda. In her book, The Origins of Totalitarianism, she wrote thus, and I wrote it down so I'd get it completely right. And now I've lost it. Hang on, here it is. It's The Origins of Totalitarianism, 1951, and she wrote, the ideal subject of totalitarian rule is not the convinced Nazi or the convinced communist, but people for whom the distinction between fact and fiction and the distinction between true and false no longer exist. Does that sound familiar? As I said, Arendt should know she lived in the real world. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.